Many of you have seen this viral video that went crazy on X and other social platforms with Ye and Ty Dolla $ign sitting down in conversation with Big Boy to discuss many different topics, including his Vultures project. Now, one particular subject that stood out to me personally was the topic of Jesus Christ. Big Boy proceeded to ask Ye, in correlation to where he's headed in his direction musically and in his life, where he stood in his relationship with Jesus Christ. Now, we're going to watch this video together and I'm going to react to it bit by bit with you. Let's hop into that right now.
At one point, Ye, we hear, and this is all you, we hear, Jesus is king, we hear this, but that's all you. Then there's sometimes you just want to say, man, but you just want to say, man, this is what I'm feeling right now. Are you in that space where you're comfortable enough to say, this is where I am right now? I'm still a man of God. Jesus still is king, but this is Vultures right now. This is where I am.
It is, but I have my issues with Jesus. There's a lot of stuff I went through that I prayed and I didn't see Jesus show up. So I had to put my experience in this world, my experience with my children, my experience with other people, my experience with my account, my experience with my brand, and my experience with the level of music that I was dealing with in my own hands.
He said, I had to take the experiences that I was having come upon me that were happening in my life, and I had to take it into my own hands. I heard the word "my" probably 8 times, I think, if I'm correct. Maybe you guys can fact check me on that and drop it in the comments and let me know how many times you guys actually heard it. But he's saying my. Now, what I would say to that is, being a young Christian and not having your roots being established deep down, watered, structured, the tendency naturally is to get upset, get unsettled, begin to waver. Things in life begin to shake. Some situations begin to occur. And it's so easy to revert back to the stability of what you previously saw for yourself as stability, which is your money, which is your power, which is your prestige, which is your celebrity. And it's very easy to fall back into those things. And it can be other things for other people as well, right? It could be smoking weed. It can be alcohol. It can be drugs. It can be a relationship. It can be pornography. It can be a number of different things that you use as a crutch when things don't go the way that you think they should. And what I will say to that is, you have to understand that God is not a genie inside of a bottle that you are going to rub that bottle or that thing and he's going to come out and just answer all your requests. You got a couple free wishes, if you will. Now, some things are going to be required of you to go through in order to be challenged, to be stretched, to grow. And other things are out of our control because there's other people that you're dealing with. For instance, in this case, his ex-wife, Kim. The fact that they're dealing with a number of different things, they're in 2 totally different places. He's a believer. He got radically saved. Something was happening in his life. He was being changed and transformed. And he was wanting that same reality to be imposed upon somebody else. But God has given each of us a free will. We have the ability to choose what we will do and who we will be. And sometimes it doesn't always happen for one person as it does for another. I remember when me and my wife, we were together initially, we were dating. We weren't saved at the time. We were doing, wild things that young people do that are dumb and ignorant. And I will say at that particular point in time, when she finally had a revelation of Christ in her life, that she decided one day, she told me, she said, you know what? I had a dream that if I keep living this way, I am going to be the reason why my younger brother goes to hell. I'm leading him down a wrong path. I can't do this anymore. And she literally said, look, I'm going to go back to church. I'm going to go serve God. I'm going to give my life to Christ. This is what I'm going to do. And if you love me and if you want to be with me, then you'll follow me in that direction. If not, I totally understand, but this is what I have to do. And she left. And she could have been like, God, you know what? You didn't save this person and you didn't do this for me, the person that I love and that I want to be with. No, I had to make a personal decision for myself to say, you know what? It can't be just because I'm going to chase after her. It has to be because I want a real change in my life. I'm done living the life that I'm living. Money, unfortunately, in their situation, in their circumstance, is a hard thing to bow down and walk away from. We know about this from scripture itself. It says that the rich young ruler came to Jesus and he said, God, I've basically done all these things. I'm good. What more must I do to inherit the kingdom of heaven? And he said, go, sell all that you have, give it to the poor and come follow me. And it says that the man walked away sorrowfully, and in recorded history, biblically, he was never mentioned again. Could this be because of the fact that this guy became so sorrowful because of his cash flow and because of his riches and what he had that he said, you know what? I can't do this. I can't bow to this. I'm not going to do that. It is possible, but it is very hard for somebody with money, with riches, with wealth to inherit the kingdom of heaven because they have become so accustomed to submitting themselves to money. They pay their way out of things. They're able to pay their way into things. They're able to take care of problems by throwing money at it. And money is a great tool to have, but the love of money is the root of all evil. And when money becomes your God, that is a problem. And so needless to say, I can't speak to all the things and the aspects of their relationship because I don't know, but I will say when it comes to your family, you know, I know he was praying hard for his wife. I know he was praying hard for that situation to go correctly, for his wife to follow him in the path of the Lord, and it just didn't happen. She had a lot of pull. There's a lot of circumstance, situations, relationships behind the scenes. There's a lot of ties, a lot of evil that goes into Hollywood and the entertainment spaces that bind and hold people. Blackmail, occult rituals, hexes, witchcraft, different things that hold people that is very difficult for them to break free from that. It's not impossible for the Lord to do it. And so being a young Christian as he is, I could see how it'd be very difficult when you're praying tears, you're reaching out to people, you're connecting with people, pray for me, do this, that, and nothing is happening. And it can be very easy that if you are not establishing roots, you're not having the right people in place to guide you, to pray for you, to disciple you, and to mentor you. You just have all these people that are for the clout saying, oh, it's Kanye. Yeah. I'm just going to be a yes man and say whatever he wants to hear, but not really giving him the business and teaching him in the right ways and understanding how to establish him to make sure that he created a root system that was deep enough to withstand these challenges, these pressures, these adversities, these real things that were going to happen in his life. I can see why he said, you know what? I got to take it into my own hands. It's not happening for me, so I'm going to go do it. And that happens to a lot of people, unfortunately. So I know that's a long-winded explanation, but that's just my take on that particular portion. Let's continue.
Like a lot of times I just feel like in our society in America, you know, people, Christians, we depend on Jesus so much that we won't put the word in ourselves. And the main thing that really that I don't rock with is like, it's just always like, I'm gonna pray for you. And it's just like, you can actually physically do something yourself too, more than just pray. And we're so in this mentality that's all that needs to happen, but we ain't praying our way out of prison. Mm-hmm. We ain't praying our way out of the abortion clinics. We ain't praying our way to get our land back that was always ours after gentrification, after the Harlem Renaissance and Black Wall Street was burned to the ground. Them prayers ain't working. We have to apply actual physical building partnerships, and it don't start unless we could really be real with each other and say, this is what I did, this is what I did. Like, I mean, look at this. I know I'm not gonna third rail y'all interview, but look at the power of what happened when me and Kyrie was on the same page. See, that's what's scary. But what they do is they put us each in a silo and say, your grandmother gonna lose her crib and this gonna, you know how many threats?
Now, let me just hop in real quick before I lose this thought. Now, I will say what he's saying there does have some truth to it, right? James 2 tells us faith without works is dead. That is true, but you have to use that within the proper context of what it's saying. Now, there are times and seasons when we are to act in faith, right? God tells you, hey, step out and do this, or just common sense tells you logically, hey, you need to step out and make this decision, and God will meet you halfway in the process of this, right? It's an act of faith, and that action supernaturally activates something to occur. But there's other times as well when we're told to wait and be patient when we're not hearing anything. It's to wait upon God, wait upon him to move in situations and circumstances. It's not always in us to move, and sometimes we get very impatient when we don't hear God. I mean, I could testify to that directly in a number of situations and circumstances where I feel impatient. I feel like, God, I'm praying, I'm crying out to you. I need this. I'm desperate in this area of my life, whether it's finances, whether it is situational, whether it's relational, and nothing seems to be happening. And the tendency is just to say, you know what? I got to do it for myself. If you're not going to do anything, God, if I'm not hearing from you, then I got to go act and do this for myself. But the reality is sometimes you have to just sit and wait, because God is teaching you patience, and he's showing you that even in the midst of your trials and tribulations and situations that are occurring around you, that although all hell is breaking loose, God is still in control in the midst of it all. And it grows your faith, and it stretches you, and it makes you stronger. So it gives you a reference point to literally plant a flag in your life, so that later on, when these things pop up again, similar instances, you know your God. You are building and cultivating that personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Christ, which is what salvation is all about. So I will say that. Now, to speak secondly, there are other times that, I think what he's saying here, sometimes it's just like, bro, you got to separate the physical from the spiritual. And, yes, well, there are certain things like, hey, if you're desperate for cash and you're broke, then you got to do certain things, right? You're going to have to move and make some actions. You can't just wait for money to fall from the sky. Sometimes the economy and things, the way they're working out the way they are, sometimes things just won't happen. And sometimes there's really no explanation, and you just have to trust God in those instances. But needless to say, I think he's tying two things in together that don't connect in this particular instance. And, talking about materialistic things, I mean, look, there's people in this world who have it far worse than you do, Kanye. And I love you, bro. But I will say that there's people who have way harder situations in the third world countries. Look at what's happening in Haiti. Look at what's happening in all these other places around the world. And if something's not happening for you with brand deals with companies, etc., you got to be thankful for the portion that you have been given. And it's not always going off and doing this in your own strength and in your own might, because it might work for a while, but one of two things will happen in the end. You're either going to exhaust yourself out, or you're going to make those things become destructive, and what was given to you initially will be stripped from you forever. And so those are things that you have to pay attention to. But let's continue and finish this up.
We've been dealt with, and I didn't pray my way through them threats either. I had to get up and do it myself. I had so much to do, I ain't had time to pray. Mm-hmm. So that's where my issue is, and look at where I'm at today.
Yeah, and see, that's a problem, because look at where you're at today. And I'm not going to go ahead and speak bad of the man's life, but I think it speaks for itself in many different respects. Sometimes it's just best to fall into the mercies of God. Sometimes he says, okay, well, you want to do it your way? Cool. Go ahead and run over there, and I'll just be waiting right here. Let me know when you're exhausted and you run out of gas. And that's what ends up happening. You're driving down a road. You're literally running on a hamster wheel, going nowhere, giving all your energy, exhausting yourself out. And at the end of the day, once you fall off of that thing, guess what? God's right there with his arms wide open saying, okay, are you done yet? Are you finished? Are you going to allow me finally to come in? And so I think it's very telling of where he's at in his life in this particular point in time. And, I continue to pray for Kanye, and I encourage all of you who are watching this, who are believers as well, continue to pray for him. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. And when you are praying for things and things don't pan out the way you think they should or they could, it's very easy to get vexed and to walk away. I've seen so many people do it throughout the years of my faith walk, and it's very heartbreaking. But I will say that God has a way of working all things together for the good of those who love him. And I pray that God will continue to work in him something good, will lead him back to himself, and will use him once again to touch many people's lives. So I wanted to share that piece of content. If this was valuable to you, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this whole debacle, what your opinion, what your position on this is. Look, if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel, guys. We're building it up. We're almost getting ready to crack 23,000. I want to try to get to at least 100,000 before the end of this year if we can, or more. And I believe together we can do that. By the way, I have a documentary that I am creating right now. It's called The Devil in Disguise. Very powerful. So much packed into this thing to expose the deeds of darkness, the power structures of the world, and so much more, but to give life and hope at the end, because that's what it's all about. And we are looking to raise about $50,000 to make this thing a possibility. There's a donation link down in the description, and I'll also put it in the comments and pin it for you guys to see. Anything that you can do, we can make this thing happen together. Literally, if 1,000 of us drop $50 in a bucket, we've met our goal. And on a shoestring budget, we're able to achieve what people in multi-million-dollar studios are able to achieve. Guys, we've done our research, we've done our homework, we've mapped it all out. This is what we need to make it happen, and we're looking for you to partner with us. And again, if this content's valuable to you and fighting back for our freedoms and for truth, then be sure to drop in your donation, hitting that link down below, and supporting what we have going on. Until next time, love you guys. Continue to fight those psyops. See you soon.